guys, welcome back to my channel Books with Natasa. Today I have quite a long video, so I changed the background again because it's gonna take a while, so I need to sit down. And this video is my April wrap up. I'm a little late, and that's because lately I have been reading a lot of books, and it's becoming super hard to film a video because it takes me like 2 hours to film, and then I have to edit, and it's becoming a lot. That's why I didn't post my March wrap up, because then I read 25 books, and that was like wow. The month of April I read 33 books, and I'm really proud with myself. I read manga, romance, and so many new books, so many rereads, so many different stories, and I can't wait to talk about them with you guys. The first book that I read in the month of April is The Wall of Winnipeg by Miyano, and I gave this book 4.75 out of 5 stars. I wasn't sure why I didn't give it 5, but it's just like this feeling of something lacking. I don't know, very sure. So basically this book follows Vanessa, who is an assistant to this pro football player. I'm sorry I can't remember his name, please forgive me, but he's like the worst boss ever, and she has been working for him for like 7 or like 10 years. It's a really long time, and she's finding hard enough, and she's quitting. And then he realizes what a big mistake he did to let her go, so he goes to her house to beg her to come back, because she's like the best assistant he ever had, and he doesn't know what to do without her. So yeah, so this book has forced proximity, fake dating, arranged marriage, no arranged marriage, but marriage of convenience, so to speak, and enemies to lovers. It has many tropes, and it's incredible. Many of you know the Mariana Zapata books are slow burns, and this is no different. This is like a 500-page book, and I read it in one sitting, if you can believe that. I just love Mariana Zapata books. They are incredible. The slow burns is amazing, and I love when we get little snippets of these sweet scenes, and it's just the best thing ever. Also, I loved the ending, because many of us thought that it was going to be like a sweet sort of thing, but it was actually super spicy in the end, and I loved it. I was so here for that, and I just love this book very much, and many of you guys should read it. Next, I reread The Unhoneymooners by Christina Lauren, and I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. This book, I first read it last year, and I really loved it. And this book follows Olive, I believe her name is, and Ethan. Olive's sister, her twin sister, is getting married to Ethan's brother, and there is this wedding. And basically everyone at the party afterwards get food poisoning, and the bride and groom can't make it to their honeymoon trip to Hawaii for like a week or like 10 days, I'm not sure. So they ask for Ethan and Olive to go and pretend to be them so they can have a vacation, because they were the only 2 people that didn't get sick. And that gives them the opportunity to stop hating each other, because this big fight, so to speak, has happened between them, and there is this misunderstanding between them that makes them hate each other. And basically in this book we have fake dating, which is one of my favorite tropes ever, and it's just the best thing ever. Also, we have kind of a groveling at the end, because Ethan does something incredibly stupid, and I'm not making excuses for him, because it was actually really stupid to not take Olive's side in that matter, but I just understand him because it was about his brother. And that, I'm trying not to spoil things, but if you things slip out, I'm sorry. But this is a perfect summary for and because it takes place in the sea and all of that, and we see them getting closer and closer with each passing day, and it's just the best thing ever. And they're just perfect for each other. We have a quite famous book in the book community, and that is Spanish Love Deception by Elena Armand. And this book I gave 4.5 out of 5 stars. And again, these characters are incredible. We have work office romance and sort of fake dating, slow burn, age gap. We have all of my favorite tropes, and we have Aaron Bradford in this one, and I have to say he's one of the best characters. I mean, wow. At first, I wasn't really clicking with Aaron because I was like, is this what everyone is raving about? But basically, we have this girl. Crap, I can't remember her name. I'm sorry, I'm so bad with name in raps, but please forgive me because it's been like now it's May and it's taking me a while to remember what books I read in the beginning of April, so I'm sorry. So there is this girl that works with Aaron, and she has to go home to Spain, I believe, to her sister's or cousin's wedding, something like that. And she can't go alone because she had this serious relationship with one of the groomsmen, I want to say. I'm not sure what the word is, but yeah, and if she comes back along, there will be judgment and gossip and all that, and she's just not having it. So she's searching for someone to go with her to that wedding, and Aaron actually volunteers to do that, and it's the best thing ever. First, she keeps refusing him, but then they come to this sort of agreement, and and they go together to Spain, and they have to act like they are super in love and all of that, and convince her family of that. So it's really good to see. And we also come to realize that Aaron has feelings for this girl, and he's just agreed to help her so he can finally get closer to her. And when they get together, it's the best thing ever. Aaron is like the best boyfriend ever. He's so sweet and thoughtful, and just the best. You have to read this book to understand. And I know many people believe that it's like a Wattpad book, and I don't disagree with that, but I really did love it. And for me, I base my rating mostly on my feelings after I finished the book, how much I enjoyed it. I'm not very much critical when it comes to my ratings, but except for when I get arcs. But this one was really good. Next, I reread Stay With Me. This is the third book in the Wair For You series by Jennifer L. Armentrout. And for the longest time, I was like, I'm never gonna read this series. I'm not into contemporary, and the romance genre isn't for me. And then I picked up book one, and I was hooked. And ever since then, I can't stop reading this series. It just keeps getting better with each book. And after my friend told me that this is her favorite, and I have to say it's my favorite in this series so far too, because it's just incredible. I give this 5 out of 5 stars again because it's just amazing. We have here not Roxy, give me a second. Kayla, I believe her name is Kayla. She's friends with Teresa, who we met in book 2, and she's going to the same school with Teresa, and they have just finished the semester, and she gets she gets called to the dean's office to let her know that she's behind on her tuition money and all of that, and she's like super shocked because she doesn't know what's wrong because she made sure to pay everything to perfection. So they decided to give her a little time to figure it out, to see if she wants to continue studying in the school. After she goes out, she receives a lot of notifications from her phone by banks and all of that, that she's way back in a loan that she didn't take, she's in a lot of debt, and she doesn't know what has happened. But then she starts to think, and she's like, shit, my mother. So she decides to go back home for the summer in this small town, I believe, I can't remember the name. But yeah, she had a really bad childhood, so after she became 18 and got into college, she ran away, she left and never looked back. So she's now going back home, and everything has gone to crap with her mother. Her mother is an addict for drugs, alcohol, and all that. And she goes back home, and her house is empty naturally, and it's like in this worst state possible. Then she goes to her mother's bar, because they used to own a bar, to see if anyone can track her down for her. So that's when she meets this gorgeous bartender, Jax. I know how this sounds, I was hesitant too, but Jax is like the sweetest man alive, I swear. He's the best. And from the minute she walks in the door, he's like, hello gorgeous, and all of that stuff. And I was like, oh my god, I was screaming in my phone, because I read the ebook first. And they start to flirt and everything, and then her uncle walks in, and then Jax realizes whose daughter she is, and he's like, oh shit. But yeah, then a lot of stuff happens, and she decides to work at the bar for the summer to collect money so she can go back to school on October, September, I'm not sure. So that's where the story starts, and it's incredible. It has a lot more action and plot from the previous two books, because in the previous two books it was an emotional plot, and this one there is emotional plot, but there is actual plot as well, and I really love that. Of course, I had to continue with the series and read Fall With Me. This is the fourth book in the Wait For You series by Jennifer L. Armentrout, and I have to say, I think this might be my second favorite in the series. I'm not sure yet, but I have to finish it and then decide on my ranking. But this one follows Roxy. She's friends with Jax and also works in the bar from the previous book. And this is a cop who is also one of her oldest friends. And they had this sort of split, I want to say, and they haven't spoken to each other for like a year after that, and basically they barely acknowledge each other. We've seen a little bit of that in the previous book, but we have no idea what's going on. In this book we find out, and we know that Roxy and I believe Reese is his name, yes, Reese, Reese got drunk one night and Roxy took her home and they started making out, and then he passed out. But when he wakes up, he's like, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to, it was a mistake and all of that, and broke Roxy's heart because she has been in love with him for life. So then that's the misunderstanding, because Reese thought that they had sex and they didn't. So Roxy didn't have time to clear it up because she had broken her heart so much and her self-esteem. So fast forward to now, they still haven't cleared out the misunderstanding until Reese says, I had enough with this shit, let's talk it out. I want you back in my life, I can't be without you, I want to be friends again, and let's just pretend that night never happened. So Roxy says okay, and they start to hang out again, and she's feeling really guilty because they start to get super close, and I mean like super close, and then they go on, and then Reese confesses that he doesn't regret that they had sex. He regrets that he was drunk and can't remember anything about it. And like, that was the best thing ever. And there is also plot in this one, and it's like, wow. I mean, it had to be because Reese is a cop, but still, I think this is one of the best books ever. And I mean, you can be really surprised because Jennifer Lawrence is the author and she's the queen of anything related to romance and angst. I mean, seriously. But yeah, 5 out of 5 stars. Read this book, is amazing. You don't really have to read the previous books to read this one or any of the others, but they have like little pieces that connect with each other. But if you don't really want to read them and read just one of the series, then that is possible. Next we have Luna and the Light by Mariana Zapata, and this book I gave 4 out of 5 stars. And this wasn't my favorite from all her books that I've read so far, but it was interesting. Here we follow this girl who works in an auto repairs company, so to speak, that they repair cars and no, not repair cars, they paint cars basically. And that was quite a strange topic for me because I don't know much about cars. I know just enough to get me around, but not very much. But we have here age gap, workplace romance, and all that. And we have this girl who has, I think, a big house and all that. And I think she has kids, but I'm not sure. I really can't remember. But she has a super dark past because she used to live in Denver, I believe, and her family used to be super involved with criminal activity, and she basically ratted them out to the police and then took off. And she can never go back there, and because her parents are the worst, they used to beat her and all of that stuff. So when there is a funeral of her grandmother, she goes back and her boss requests, and she asks her boss to come with her because of a favor that he owes her. We don't know why, but we know that he owes her a favor. So basically they go back, and it's like the worst thing because they treat her horribly, and they're like, what the hell are you doing here and all that. But she basically asks her boss to come with her because he's also a pretty big guy and no one will mess with him and all that. So, and she basically has a lot of stuff that happens to her in there, and then they go back and they start to get closer with these events that keep happening. But that's basically it. I'm not really good at explaining this book because I don't remember much, and it didn't leave like a huge impression, but I did really enjoy my time when I was reading. Next we have one of my favorite books of all time, and that is All Roads Lead Here by Mariana Zapata, and this was a read it, and of course I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. And this book follows Aurora, and she, after her split and slash divorce with her husband, she wants a fresh start, so she goes back to her hometown where she has rented like an apartment, so to speak, that is connected to this house. Anyway, it's complicated, but hear me out. Then when she goes there and when she arrives there, she finds this gorgeous man named Rhodes, and she says, hi, I'm here because of I rented this apartment. He's like, what? I haven't rented you anything. But she's like, here's the reservation and I have sent the money and all of that. And then he realizes that his 15-year-old son has rented it out without telling him, and it's like, wow, it was super intense. But he decides to let her stay because she doesn't have anywhere else to go, and they decide on rent and all of the stuff, so she stays there. Basically, that's a forced proximity, age gap, slow burn, and so many other tropes, and it's incredible. We have a lot emotional journey in this one because Aurora has to deal with her mother's death again because she died in that town, and it's really sad. And she also becomes super close with Rhodes and his son, and basically his entire family, and it's like the best thing ever. You really need to read this book. It was my first Maya Zapata book, and I don't regret it one bit. I absolutely adore this book. I have read it at least 2 times, I think, and I might be going for a third soon. It's just amazing. Next, I had to reread Wait For It by Mariana Zapata again because this book has my heart. And this book we follow this girl. I swear I can remember the name. Oh my god! But she has these 2 kids that were her brothers, and after he died, she took them in, and she's basically their mother now. And she moves into a new city for a new start, and her neighbor, his name is Dallas, and they don't get on in the best way because in the first night there, she goes out to the street where someone has been beaten and bleeding, and she helps him out into his house, which is the neighbor's house. And that guy, we later found out, is Dallas' nephew, and he's like the worst. So that's where the story begins. It's really amazing. Louis, the little boy in this one, has my entire heart. He's like the cutest thing ever. And the other kid, the 15-year-old, is Jay. I can't remember his full name. Jay, the letter J. They call him basically in the entire book, and he's like this moody teenager, but he's also had this heart of gold and just the best. And we see her navigate the single parenting thing, and also work, and also try to help Josh with his football stuff. And because Dallas is a coach there, they begin to interact with each other quite a bit, and it's like the best thing ever because he just got out in a really bad divorce, and we see them dealing with that a lot in this one. So basically they began to be friends first, like really good friends, and then after like the divorce is final, and Dallas comes clean and tells her that he's been in love with her for the first time that he saw her, and he was really just waiting for the divorce to be final because he's a man of his word and all that, and that was like the best thing ever. I mean, you just have to read it because Dallas is like icon. There are no men like him, I swear. If you find one, show it to me because wow. I reread A Court of Mist and Fury, and I think I'm rereading this book like once a month, every month, because I just can't deal with the fact that we won't get any more recent fare anytime soon, and I just love them so much. Court of Mist and Fury is book 2 in the Avatar series, and it's just like the best book ever, the best sequel ever. I don't know how to convince you anymore to read this book. Just read it, I promise. Not the first book, screw the first book, read the second book. But yeah, in this book we follow Farah after the events of A Court of the Roses, and she is a lot in emotional pain after what happened with Aramantha and all the trials and all that stuff. And she's dealing with the fact that she has a fake body now and she doesn't know how to handle it. And there are all this stuff. So basically, Reese invokes on their bargain to take her away from the Supreme Court because she has been a mess. Her guilt is eating her up. She's like super thin and she has dark circles under her eyes. She's like in the worst possible state. And he just wants to help her. So he evokes on the bargain. So she starts going there and she hate him and all that. But he starts to want to help her find the will to live again. So he wants her to start to learn how to read and how to shield her mind from basically Reese's powers. And that's where this story begins, and we see them progress from enemies to friends, partners, and then lovers, which is the best thing ever. It is kind of slow burn if you if you just have to know, but for me it's just perfection. I just love it so much. I think Sergei Mas has become one of my favorite authors because I also love Crescent City, and I'm planning to read Throne of Glass soon, so wish me luck. But the next book I read was A Color of Winds and Ruin. This is the third book in the Avatar series, and of course I had to continue with this after rereading the Akomaf book, because after that cliffhanger at the end, I really wanted to read it. And the scene when Reese and Farah reunite, it's just the sweetest and most emotional thing ever. And how many times I read it, I always love it so much. Because Reese is like, just like the sweetest person alive, and I just love him with all of my heart. And I just don't know what else to tell you, you guys. You should read this series, I swear. I don't know how many times I need to tell you, but this series is everything. I'm excited to talk about these books now because I have started reading manga. And I'm having the best time of my life. And this first manga that I want to talk about is X Family Vol.1. I started reading Spy Family manga after watching the first episode of the anime, and I'm obsessed. I wasn't sure about this manga because it is a spy manga and it has a lot of fight scene and all that. I wasn't sure if I could track them because I'm quite new to this, but it was so easy to follow, super fun, super light story, and I just had the best time. So this story follows Lloyd Forger, otherwise known as Twilight, who is a spy for the government, and his next mission is called Strix, and he needs to go to get close to this government official because he plans to do something that will probably reignite the war. So his mission is to get a family to get close to him and slowly extract information from him. So then we meet Anya Forger, who is like the sweetest little girl, and she's also a psychic, and she basically can read the minds. So that she's becoming his daughter. Then we have your Forger, who is an assassin. Talk about a plot twist, but they basically become this super sweet, adorable family, and it's like the best thing ever. The family times are my favorite scenes to read about. Then we have the spy scenes, and then we have other stuff. But I really love the first volume. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. It was just amazing, and I can't wait to continue with the series. It's X Family Vol.2, 5 out of 5 stars again. I know you're not surprised because I picked up Volume 2 immediately after finishing Volume 1, and it's just like the best. We meet, I think, Damien in this one, and Anya is trying to get close to him and become friends, but it doesn't work her way because he just doesn't like her. And basically we have also the school here and all that stuff, and it was really interesting to watch, to read. And we also see a lot of Yor in this one, and her job a little bit more, and what happens with her, and I really did love it, and I can't wait to meet the brother. Next, I reread Wait For You. This is the first book in the Wait For You series by Jennifer Armentrout, and this one follows Cam and Avery. And Avery has been a victim of sexual assault when she was 14, and she's still struggling with that as in an emotional level when she meets Cam, and he's like the sweetest all-American guy, and he basically starts becoming her friend and then starts to ask her out, but she keeps saying no and he keeps asking, and they become closer and closer until they start dating, and they are the sweetest couple ever. And I don't know how to explain that. You should definitely read this book, but it's really good. It has a lot of emotional stuff. Sometimes you will get frustrated with Avery because she has the secret from Cam and she's not ready emotionally to share it, and that's basically it. 5 out of 5. Alright, Be With Me. This is the second book in the Wait For You series by Jennifer Armentrout, and it was a reread, and I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. And this one follows Cam's sister Teresa and Jace, I want to say his name. Jesus, I'm not sure how to pronounce it. But they have basically had this moment a few years back. They kissed, and basically he ran away. Literally ran away the next day. So she's like super upset with him, and they haven't been talking much. So she goes to live with Cam because she will start to study in his college after this accident that happened with her leg. She's a dancer, so she needs to wait for it to heal, and then she can go back to dancing. But she started going to college as a backup choice, so that's when she and Jace become closer again, and basically he gives her a lot of whiplash because she agrees to start to be friends again because they were really close, even though she has feelings for him and always had feelings for him. But basically Jace he has also feelings, but he doesn't want to get closer to her because he has like this secret, and but he can resist, and they have these little moments, and then he pushes her away again until she's like super mad, doesn't really want to talk to him, and then he tells her that I'm not gonna say it here. He tells her the secret, and she still wants to be with him, so they are together. But he still has some emotional stuff to work through, and he keeps pushing her away until she's like, "I've had enough of this shit. I'm done. You can go do whatever you want. I'm going to move on with my life." And basically, that's where stuff happens, and they get back together again, and it's like the best thing ever. And I really love this book, one of my favorites again. And it's like friends to lovers, childhood friends to lovers, and all that stuff. It's great. It's by Family Vol.3, and this one I gave 5 stars again, and I really love this one. We get to meet Yor's brother in this one. It's like a hilarious scene because he really doesn't trust Lloyd, and he's using her. I need to expose him because he works for the government, which is like, wow, plot twist. So but Yor doesn't know that he works for the government in a way to expose spies, and Lloyd is the spy if you get my point. But they basically get wrong, and he tries to extract information from him, but Lloyd is like a superhuman spy, I mean, and so that doesn't work on him, and then he gives up and tries to give him a chance, basically. And I had so much fun with this volume. It was the best thing ever. The book I read was Kulti by Miyano, and I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. This book follows Kulti, who is a super soccer player, and this girl who is a soccer player also, and she has idolized him for a very long time until he got married and she wanted to get married to him until he got married. She's like, I'm done with him, I hate him and all that. And a few years later he comes to her where she has her team basically, and he's becoming their coach. So we have age gap, coach, athlete, romance, so to speak, and all that. So they start slow, really slow, because first they hate each other. I mean, he's like the grumpiest man I have ever seen. And she just doesn't take it. She's like, screw you, I'm done with this. You can treat me like that and all that. So they slowly start to become friends with super small moments, like give me a ride home, come with me there, and all that stuff. So everyone starts to get the wrong idea that they are dating, and they start having trouble with the team and the press because he's like super famous, and that creates a lot of conflict. But they get together, and it's epic because we see them be this like still hardcore guy, but he has this little moments like where he's super sweet, and it's like the best thing ever, and I love it. And I'm not sure what else to tell you without super spoiling you, but it's really good, and I can tell why so many people loved it. I wasn't sure about giving it 5 stars at first, but after going back and thinking about it and all of that, I decided on 5 stars, even though it's like not my all-time favorite book, but it's still worth the 5 stars. And I reread The Score by L. Kennedy. This is the 4th book in the Off-Campus series, and it follows Dean and Ali. And this book is the favorite for most people, but for me, I read it when I want like a spicy fun read. So that's what I was in the mood for when I picked it up, and I had so much fun reading it, and I cried so much in the end because some stuff happens, but I still think about the cry. I mean, it was so heartbreaking. But Ali and Dean are the perfect couple. They are super fun. They have super spicy scenes, and it's just like the best thing ever. 4.75 stars. It's X Family Vol.4, and I gave it 4.75 out of 5 stars. There just wasn't so many family scenes in this one, and it kind of really disappointed me. And but I really did love it again, and I'm so happy to keep reading with this series because it's like the best. I plan to catch up fully before the latest volume comes out, so wish me luck. Next, I have Corrupt, which is the first book in the Devil's Night series by Penelope Douglas, and I have been afraid to pick up this book for the longest time because it has all the trigger warnings. I mean, check them out. I mean, I swear it's like a page long with trigger warnings, so that scared me. But when a friend of mine picked it up and said it's not like so dark to have all these trigger warnings, but it's like a usual dark romance, so it's like, let's pick it up. I did the mistake of picking it up like at 12 at night because I thought it was a 300-page book. What a mistake, I swear. It was 500 pages, and I read it in one sitting because I just couldn't stop reading, so I stayed up until like 4 a.m. It was the best thing ever, but in the morning I was like dead, I swear. But I'm getting ahead of myself. This book follows this one girl, I can't remember her name, I'm sorry, but and honestly who is surprised at this point, but she's at high school, and there are these 4 boys, the 4 horsemen: Michael, Kai, Damon, and one more I can't remember, I'm sorry, but they are these super famous boys. They're super rich, no one can touch them, and basically every Halloween night, every Devil's Night basically, they do this thing where they kidnap a lot of boys and girls, bring them to the catacombs and party, and the parties get super intense. I mean, there's sex, drugs, alcohol, and they also do these huge pranks every Halloween. I mean, really illegal pranks. I mean, cops are after them, but they can find them because they filmed these little videos with their masks on, so they can prove that it was them and all that. But basically, they decide that year to take the girl with them because she knows Michael, because she's dating his brother, but she has always been attracted to Michael because, I mean, come on, why not? And basically, they become super close in this one, and then stuff happens, and all of them get arrested except Michael, and they are out for revenge. They think that this girl betrayed them and ratted them out because of some stuff that happened at that night. But yeah, so we fast forward to the present, and she has decided to move away from home because she can't take it anymore with all this stuff that it was asked of her. She feels suffocated. She just wants to get away. She broke up with Michael's brother, who have been together for the longest time, because she never had feelings for him, but she decided to try and date him, but that was like the worst thing. So she wants to go away for college and be free basically. So she moves to New York, I believe, and goes to live in this apartment building, and surprise, Michael also lives there. So they become getting closer and closer until they basically kidnap her and ruin her life. And then they realize that all of it was a misunderstanding. And I mean, wow, this book, I mean, it was super dark. It was wow, I mean, but still, I loved every second of it. I mean, Penelope Douglas, you're right, forbidden dark romance like no one else, I swear. She's the best. And I can't wait to read the next book. I think it follows Kai, and I am quite excited for that one because Kai is the good one basically in the bunch of this. So I'm hoping to see him because a lot of stuff happened to him, and the scene, you know what I mean, what scene, that this girl helped him, and I want to see how he is after all that stuff that happened. Next, that is X Family Vol.5, and I gave this 4 stars. I didn't enjoy this one as much as the other ones because this one barely had any scenes with the family basically, and I really didn't like that. But also we got introduced to this woman who is also a spy and has a thing for Lloyd, and I just really hate her. I mean, why does she want to come between them? I mean, Yor and Lloyd need to be together. I hope by volume at least 10 they at least kiss, because at this point it's getting ridiculous. Everyone is shipping it and want them to get together for real, or at least the needs to be revealed. But nothing has happened so far. And I mean, how many volumes does it take for them to get a little bit closer? Not like kiss, but hug, something. This next one I'm really excited to talk about, and this is Sasaki and Miyano Vol.4. If you must know, the anime is my favorite thing in the world. This volume follows Sasaki and Miyano, and we see here, I think it's the volume with the festival and all that. If you've seen the anime, you know the scenes. And we see Miyano in a cross-dressing competition, and then there are these fireworks and this super romantic scene between them, because Miyano is telling Sasaki that he needs to wait a little bit for his answer, that he's closer, and then they hug and hold hands. It's the best thing ever, I swear. I just love this series so much. Either it's the anime, either it's the manga, I just love it. I hope there is a season 2 because we have quite 2 or 3 volumes left to be able to animate, and I would love to see them. But if we can have that, I really want to see Hirano and Kyagura in the anime. I'm hoping for that. But yeah, in case you haven't noticed, 5 Heartstopper, we have Sasaki Miyano Vol.5, and with this one we continue with the journey, and Miyano has realized that he has feelings for Sasaki senpai, but he's not sure what kind of feelings there. I mean, how are they different from the feelings that Sasaki has for him? I mean, are they as intense? And he's trying to figure that out. I mean, because he just doesn't feel comfortable with just trying it out and see, because he doesn't want to hurt Sasaki senpai. And I think that's the sweetest thing ever. And I'm sorry for the lighting, but the sun keeps going in and out, so I'm sorry for the whatever lighting you see. But back to point, and we see they continue to spend time together, and everyone thinks that they're dating basically, or they should be dating, and it's like the best thing ever, because they see them how happy they are with each other's company. And I have to agree, because I can't wait for the confession to happen, because it's gonna be amazing. We have Sasaki and Miyano Vol.6, 5.5 stars, and this one is the one with the confession, I swear. So Miyano finally realizes that he's in love with Sasaki senpai as much as Sasaki senpai is with him. So he's trying to find the right time to give him finally his answer. But then it's Christmas and he doesn't want to do it, because he heard that couples that get together on Christmas, they break up, and he doesn't want that to happen. he tries to get him alone, but he keeps getting called into the office and school stuff that needs to happen, but he can tell him when they are coming or going from school, because then there are people, so he's trying to get him somewhere alone. So that's what is happening. So basically there is this moment in a stairwell. If you've seen the anime, you know what I'm talking about. I think it's like episode 11, if I remember correctly. But they become super close, and Sasaki almost kisses Miyano. I swear. And it's like the best thing ever, but Sasaki-senpai totally misunderstood the situation. He gets hurt and basically leaves. And he's like, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have forced you. And he goes home. Miyano goes back to the office and says, I can't do anything today, leave me alone, I have to go, and runs after Sasaki-senpai. So he basically runs into Hirano-senpai and asks him to call Sasaki because he still doesn't have his phone number. But he calls him and he doesn't pick up, so he gets this idea that he needs to go to his house or his parents' bakery basically to find him. So some friends send them the address and goes, and when he gets off the train, who is there? Sasaki-senpai, because Hirano called him and told him that he left some stuff at school and needs to come get it. I mean, don't you love Hirano-senpai? And basically, Miyano tells him, I'm here to see you, I need to talk to you, and they go somewhere to talk, basically. So I'm able to talk about this in spoiler because we have the anime, but if you don't want to just skip ahead. But in this one, Miyano just tries to get his feeling across to Sasaki-senpai because they are super intense. He doesn't know how to express them, but he basically just say, I'm in love with you, and Sasaki keeps wanting to hear it more. Then basically he understands and they hug, they kiss. It's the best thing ever, I swear, and I can't wait to read volumes about them dating. Oh my god, the best. We have Sasaki and Miyano volume 7, and this one is my favorite volume ever. So in this one we have Sasaki and Miyano finally dating, and it's like the best thing ever. We see them navigate all this stuff, how to act around people and that, but and also Sasaki-senpai is also graduating soon, which is sort of sad, but he tries to find time to spend with Miyano still and goes to the school to see Miyano, and it's like the worst thing ever. My favorite scene, it's like the hottest scene in the manga so far, but Sasaki-senpai goes to the school to see Miyano because he really misses them. So at lunchtime, Miyano meets him in this classroom and they start to talk about how Sasaki-senpai got into his dream college basically. So they start to hug and kiss. It gets super intense, and I mean, my favorite volume, I swear. And I don't even know what to say. Just read 5 out of 5. We have Sasaki Miyano volume 8, and I gave this 5 out of 5 stars again. And this volume again, really good. We see them still together, but they are struggling with how much little time they spend together, but still they are enjoying each other's company. Here we see them also in the library, and Miyano meets this girl he used to like, if you can remember the previous ones, and basically she asks if he's dating Sasaki, and he's like, yeah, and he says some really sweet stuff, and Sasaki overhears them, and then just goes and gives him a hug, the best hug ever, and they're like, stop, we're in the library, there's people in the that. It's like, oh my god, I can't wait to read volume 9 soon. I hope it gets translated soon because I'm dying over here. 5 out of 5 stars, just read this manga guys, it's amazing. So next we have Heartstopper Vol.1 by Alice Osman, and this one I gave 4 stars. In this one we follow Nick and Charlie. Charlie has been openly gay for the past year, I believe, and he has been a lot of stuff, bullying, and now he's sort of seeing this guy Ben, but he's just using him for kissing, and that doesn't feel well good for him, and basically that's that. Then he meets Nick Nelson, who is this straight jock guy that basically he hates because of all the stuff that happened with them, but he generally hates Nick because he's like super nice, genuinely super nice. So they start becomes friends, and Nick starts getting feelings for Charlie, and we see him trying to figure out why that is, because he keeps wanting to hold his hand or hug him, and that isn't what friends want to do, and he just sees him in a different way, and he's trying so hard and struggling to figure out why that is. Is he asking like, am I gay? I mean, no, because before Charlie I only liked girls. So basically a lot of stuff happens and they get together in the end, they kiss, and it's amazing. For the longest time I read this book, I think last year for the first time, and I wasn't a big fan. I think I rated it like 3.5 stars, 3, because I just didn't really connect with the characters as much as I wanted or as everyone else did. Maybe I wasn't in the mood, I don't know, but I wanted to give another chance because in a few days before I read this one, it was that the TV show on Netflix was going to come out. So I read it and I loved it so much more than the first time, so I was so happy to hear that. And of course I needed to fetch the series. We have Heartstopper Vol.2 by Ali Osman, and this one I gave 4 stars again. And with this one we continue to Nick and Charlie start to date, and they're trying to keep it a secret because Nick is not ready to come out yet, because he still tries to figure out who he is or what his sexuality is and all of that. And so we see them navigate their relationship, but they are the cutest thing ever, and I just love it so much. The comic is quite different than reading manga because the order is like all jumbled up, so I was having a lot of time figuring out the order in the comic, but after a while I got the hang of it, so it was easier. We have Heartstopper Vol.3 by Alice Osman, and this one I gave 4.5 out of 5 stars. In this one we see Charlie and Nick going on a school trip to Paris, and we see them getting closer and closer, and they announce to their friends that they are dating, and also Nick comes to realize that Charlie may have a eating disorder because he doesn't eat much, or he might be depressed, something is wrong with Charlie. But still that doesn't stop them from being together and being happy, and I just love that. Here we are at the end, my final book, and that is Heartstopper by Alice Osman Vol.4, and I gave this one 4.75 out of 5 stars. I think this one has been my favorite volume so far because it has been super emotional. I mean, in this one we follow mostly Charlie's journey with his eating disorder and OCD, because stuff happens and it gets super dark because he just doesn't feel well, so they basically have decided to put him in this hospital so they can help him feel better. And after a while he gets released, and all this time Nick has been super supportive, and when they need to tell Charlie's parents, when they need to find a hospital, when Charlie was still inside the hospital, Nick was still communicating with him, and it was like the sweetest thing ever. And when Charlie got released, he spent all this time with him and really helped him. And when they had a fight, I mean, Nick always made sure that Charlie was okay afterwards, because he didn't really want to hurt himself and all that. It was like so sweet. I can't wait to read Volume 5 whenever it comes out. I think it comes out next year, but still I'm waiting. Well, that's it for my long video. I know it was quite a lot. I know I'm tired of talking, so like, subscribe, stick around because I will try to post more regularly sometime soon. I'm hoping before summertime, but don't hold me on that because I will start working soon, so I'm not sure. So I would also appreciate if you could check out the links for my accounts, so that will be down below, and I will see you for my next video very soon. Bye!